You are now entering Armbar Audio. Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of Armbar Audio. This is your host, Tim Farley. You may have known me as JP Whitman of the Omega Cast, but the Omega Cast and JP Whitman are no more. But on Armbar Audio, I am still next to my trusted companion who hasn't gone anywhere except he stayed by my side.
That is me, John Kerns. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1 of Armbar Audio. We are so excited to get this going for you guys. So far, the reception to us starting this new podcast, this new journey really has been overwhelmingly positive, and I cannot thank everybody enough for their kind words and all that going into it.
Hell yes. This is something John and I have wanted to do for a while now. We have faith in each other. We are like brothers in this podcast and in wrestling. So, as you guys know, if you are listeners, as usual from the Omega Cast, you know how we usually do our things. We would do news, reviews, and a big question. Since this is episode 1 of Armbar Audio, the big question will be replaced by a few questions that we got from Instagram and Facebook. If you're a new listener, thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Armbar Audio. I hope that you will come back. Please like, share, and subscribe as much as you want. Get the info out there if you enjoy John and I's reactions and commentaries to today's wrestling. Today, we are going to start off, as we usually do, with some news. And the last episode of the Omega Cast, we were rushed a bit. So we got some older news, but we're going to talk about it anyway. The first being the huge Australia show in October by WWE. Months after WWE indicated that it had plans to return to Australia for a major event in October, the company has finally announced details for the show, and it looks to be a massive one. WWE will hold the first Super Showdown on Saturday, October 6th at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, an event that the company says will feature the largest roster of WWE superstars and legends ever to appear in the country. The only match announced so far is the final bout between Triple H and The Undertaker, who will square off for the first time since WrestleMania 28. Also advertised is Ronda Rousey, Shawn Michaels, Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan, and The Big Show. Michaels has not wrestled since his formal retirement, and Bryan's contract with the company technically expires on September 1st. Tickets for the WWE Super Showdown go on sale Thursday, June 28th, and the good news for most WWE fans is that the event will also stream live on the WWE Network and air worldwide on pay-per-view. The start time is listed as 6 p.m. Australia time, meaning it will broadcast 4 a.m. Eastern on WWE Network. I'm pretty excited for this event. I was thoroughly impressed and enjoyed the Greatest Royal Rumble, and I expect a similar feel for this show. How do you feel, John?
I'm actually really excited for this. I love Australia. I've always been a big fan of the country. A lot of my favorite YouTubers and whatnot are from Australia.
They do import beautiful women to the wrestling business.
That is true. They do that. But yeah, like Undertaker and Triple H, I'm always going to be excited for. Ronda Rousey being there seems obvious. She's probably the biggest signing that WWE's had in years, other than like AJ, Shinsuke. But yeah, the what's it called? The Super Showdown?
Yes.
Super Showdown should be a super show, and I think we're in for a treat with that one.
Absolutely, John. Absolutely. Keeping the news into the WWE. We as fans were supposed to get a U.S. title match on SmackDown between the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy defending against the artist, the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. Unfortunately, we did not get that match. Apparently, Shinsuke Nakamura was supposed to wrestle on June 26th, but he was pulled due to an undescribed injury. Reports came out from the Wrestling Observer and PW Insider that the injury was a dog bite, and the dog in question was a member of a Bakersfield, California police canine unit. The extent of Nakamura's injuries still aren't known, so in addition to missing his planned United States title match in Ontario, Canada, his availability to headline 2 house shows in his native Japan this weekend is up in the air. The Bakersfield Police Department released this statement. On Monday, June 25th, 2018, officers of the Bakersfield Police Department Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team were conducting a protective sweep of the Rabobank Arena in preparation for the WWE Live SummerSlam Heatwave Tour. During the sweep, the EOD team, which consisted of an explosive detection trained canine team and bomb technicians, entered an area of the arena where an employee of the WWE was present. The canine entered the room to sweep for presence of any explosive material. As the sweep took place, the WWE employee was accidentally bit by the canine. The employee sustained an injury to the lower left leg. Medical aid was immediately summoned to the scene, and the employee was transported to a local area hospital for medical treatment. So, I guess when they call Nakamura explosive, it's not just figurative.
We were just about to tell the exact same joke. I was going to say that the reason this happened is because Nakamura is the bomb. So I guess that goes in to our news from Bizarro World category, with Nakamura missing a match due to being bit by a dog. That's like, how does that happen?
I have no idea. Maybe the canine was really like Japanese cuisine. I don't know. Maybe he had a scent coming off of him. But we're going to move on to some Impact news. Eli Drake has signed a contract extension through I believe post is Slammiversary. It's a short-term deal. A lot of specifics are not disclosed at this time, but it's a thought that Drake is secured at least till the end of July, which is when Slammiversary happens. There has been speculation that the WWE is interested in Drake again, where he actually started in developmental in FCW or OVW, I believe, and now he has made a major name for himself in Impact Wrestling. Impact tapes like a month or two in advance, so even if he leaves after Slammiversary, he may be on Impact Television for a little while. I'm really happy about this because Eli Drake not being at this momentous Slammiversary, as we've gotten Redemption and Under Pressure, the new regime in Impact Wrestling is really putting this on the map and changing the idea of what Impact Wrestling is for the fans who really put down the company for so many years. We are finally getting like a newer and fresher feel, and I'm glad that Eli Drake is along for that ride, even if it's just through Slammiversary.
Yeah, and like Tim said, it really paints the picture that we've been giving for a couple weeks now about TNA or Impact being on the upswing ever since Don Callis and Scott D'Amore took over. Had Impact still been under the old management, I don't think that you would still see people signing contract extensions with the company.
I mean, Bram signed a contract extension like 8 times in one day, and I don't see him there anymore. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Bram has signed with TNA GFW Anthem bullshit. Oh, God. Where is Bram? All I know is that he used to date Charlotte Flair, and I think she kicked his ass. Or the other way around. I don't know. Good luck in your future endeavors, Bram, wherever you are. Hopefully back in England. So, speaking of Impact Wrestling, this week we got Rich Swann debuting. He also did a conference call. He covered many topics about his career and what is still to come for him. He started the call off by addressing the elephant in the room when it came to his personal trials and the unfortunate situation surrounding his WWE release. Quote, "Right now, my wife and I are living a happy life, and right now we would like you know, forget about the past and focus on our present and the future and focus on positivity and have our career be on the up and up. That's all I have to say on that situation." If you don't know who his wife is, she is currently the Impact Knockout Champion, the Undead Bride, Su Yung. Swann also revealed he has been offered a contract from Impact Wrestling and commented, "We are looking to do business together and see where the future takes us." Rich Swann revealed his dream opponent is Sami Callihan, which is very convenient because Callihan is a prominent member of the Impact Wrestling roster. Swann also took the chance to put over OVE's Jake Crist, saying Jake Crist is one of the greatest wrestlers today. Me and him would set the world on fire if we could have an opening match at Slammiversary. So he's already hinting that he wants to be with Impact through Slammiversary. Swann also said in the next couple of weeks we will see him face off against Phoenix, which I, for one, am looking forward to, as I love every time I see Phoenix, man. He works those ropes unlike any other luchador or junior heavyweight, which is incredibly exciting idea for anyone who's aware of what those two can do in a ring. It looks like Rich Swann isn't going to take much time settling into Impact Wrestling before he starts doing some very cool things. This is thanks to WrestlingInc.com writer Aaron Varble.
Yeah, Rich Swann very recently, so he debuted on Impact, and he is going to be there till Slammiversary, which is awesome. And I was a big fan of Rich Swann on 205 Live. I loved him as Cruiserweight Champion, and I don't know, it is really unfortunate what happened with his WWE run. Not as unfortunate as his new hairstyle, but still really, really unfortunate.
I don't know what his new hairstyle looks like, but
Have you not seen it?
isn't it just twists?
It's like, we gotta.
All right, we'll look at it later.
Yeah. I'll put a link to a picture of it in the description.
So, moving on from Impact, we have some big show announcements. MLW Fusion taping on July 19th called Battle Riot. The Battle Riot is 40 participants. So far, we have Filthy Tom Lawler, Jimmy Havoc, John Hennigan, Pentagon Jr., Low Key, ACH, Kevin Sullivan, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Teddy Hart, Rich Swann, Barrington Hughes, Jake Hager, formerly known as Jack Swagger, Conan, Jimmy Utah, PCO, who is an original Quebecer, Lance NOI, Swoggle, Sami Callihan, the sleazy one Joey Ryan, Jason Cade, Kodo Brazil, MJF, Samu, Brody King, and Leon Scott. The Battle Riot, I believe, is like Aztec warfare, but you can also throw someone over the top rope. Also announced for that show is John Hennigan versus Low Key, the Hart Foundation of Teddy Hart and Davey Boy Smith Jr. against Rich Swann and ACH, and to determine MLW's first world middleweight champion, MJF versus Joey Ryan. What is the Battle Riot match? A mashup of a Battle Royal, Royal Rumble, and Anything Goes street fight. This supersized main event will feature 40 wrestlers, with new participants entering the ring every 60 seconds. There will be surprises, there will be legends, there will be WTF entries, and there will be no disqualifications. Elimination is by pinfall submission or by throwing an individual over the top rope. Anything is possible July 19th in a Battle Riot. What does the winner get? The winner gets a World Heavyweight title shot anywhere, anytime. It could be that night, it could be in 6 months. The challenger has the key to unlock an instant title shot against whoever the champion is. More Battle Riot competitors will be announced soon. So, going from MLW, I know a lot of listeners here love themselves some New Japan. We're getting the G1 Climax 2028. The blocks have been set. The start date and the end date has started. Been set. The G1 Climax will commence on July 12th and run until August 12th, where the winner of the A block and B blocks will meet in the finals, and the winner of that bout will have earned themselves a briefcase that contains a certificate inside of it for a shot at the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at next year's Wrestle Kingdom. A block: Hiroshi Tanahashi, Togi Makabe, Michael Elgin, Kazuchika Okada, Jay White, Yoshihashi, Bad Luck Fale, Adam Hangman Page, Evil, and Minoru Suzuki. The B block consists of Juice Robinson, Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, Boo, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Tama Tonga, Tetsuya Naito, Sonata, and Zack Sabre Jr. Now, I've only started following New Japan really hard since Wrestle Kingdom 9. And I noticed in all of their tournaments, like Best of Super Juniors, we had Will Ospreay this year, and he was the champion. Omega's the champion, and he's in it. I don't know what happens if the champion wins the briefcase or the tournament. If anyone out there who is listening, please answer that question. Do they get to choose their opponent for Wrestle Kingdom? I mean, that's what logic would say, but I have no idea.
They have to fight the hardest opponent of all, themselves.
I only think Kenny Omega can pull that off. Kenny Omega or Kota Ibushi. Our last big event announcement is the 2018 Battle of Los Angeles from Pro Wrestling Guerrilla takes place on September 14th, 15th, and 16th at the Globe Theater. They have issued all of the entrants into this year's Battle of Los Angeles. Those wrestlers are PWG champion Walter, Progress champion Travis Banks, Jeff Cobb, Dragon Gate's Sema, Dragon Gate's T-Hawk, one of my personal favorites, Dragon Gate's Shingo Takagi, Australia's own Jonah Rock, Bandito, Adam Brooks, Flamita, the nasty Timothy Thatcher, IWC's own DJ Z, Evolve's Darby Allin, King of Bros Matt Riddle, Robbie Eagles, David Starr, Ray Horace, also known as Dragon Azteca Jr., Chris Brooks of CCK, the bad boy Joey Janela, Puma King, PCO. As we have mentioned, he's also in Battle Riot. He's a former Quebecer. Brody King, Jody Fleisch, and from WXW, I believe he is their heavyweight champion, Ilya Dragunov. This Bola is looking to be spectacular. It's so hard for us to talk about PWG because we try to stay topical. And with PWG, they are very hard to get. You have to buy the DVDs. Once you get the DVDs, everybody who's already interested already pretty much knows. So if you want us to review a PWG event anyway, let us know. We're going to leave, and to answer the question about the New Japan tournaments, we're going to leave at the end of the show and in the information our new social media links. As for that, John, do you have anything to say about this Bulla's entrance?
Well, I know a few of the names that you said. I don't know everybody, though. Walter, obviously, I know. Big Daddy Walter. I know Dragon Azteca Jr., but I've never seen him wrestle not as Dragon Azteca Jr., so that'll be interesting for me. Other than that, I think it looks like it's going to be really good. I've never really gotten into PWG, even though I'd like to. But like you said, with having to buy the DVDs, it's like, it's rough. And it also seems like they're very sort of erratic in when they have shows. It's like there's no like schedules or anything.
Yeah, and the reason that is because PWG, there's two reasons I think. PWG is the literal mecca for indie wrestling. Every wrestler that's not signed to WWE can go to PWG. ROH has made a contract with them. Like literally every other New Japan, I think, maybe have, or at one point has. Also, their matches are so, like, if you watch a PWG show, it's like you climaxed 3 times. So you can't really have that all the time. You'll never get a weekly PWG show. It'll just be too much. And that's why they space them out. They have maybe 6 shows a year or something like that. They always have the DDT, which is like the tag tournament. They have Three Mendes, which is like their anniversary show. They have All-Star Weekend, which is 2 nights. Bola, which is 3 nights. It ends in a 3-way to determine the number 1 contender to the champion. Other than that, they've had mystery vortexes and other things of that nature, but that's about wraps it up for the news. We're going to get into some reviews, and to keep it indie, this past weekend, we got Evolve 106 and 107. John and I decided to review Evolve 106 and 107 and both nights of the UK tournament. And I'm not going to lie or pull any punches to any of you. I didn't get to watch most of the last night of the UK tournament. I plan to. I didn't watch the last few matches on Evolve 107. And John didn't watch some of the Evolve stuff. So we are going to talk about these shows. And if you wonder where we're getting our information, you can wonder all you want. So I'm going to start the Evolve conversation. What'd you say, John?
I'm willing to give the shout out to Cage Side Seats. That's where I get a lot of the information for stuff that I don't find time to watch, because it's a really good website, because it seems like the people running it love wrestling as much as we do.
Yeah, and they like some of my stuff on Twitter, so that's cool. Yeah, so the first night was Evolve 106, which and the first match was Josh Briggs versus Bad Bones. I've seen Josh work for Beyond Wrestling and other places, but he works mainly out of the Northeast. He looks like he could be the third member of the War Raiders. He looks like a thinner, taller Hanson, I would say. And Bad Bones reminds me a lot of Luke Gallows if he was shorter. Bad Bones is the leader of the Rise stable in the German company of WXW. This match was a fast opener. Fast openers are fun and exciting, but these two guys shouldn't have been in this position. Just because you can do these amazing things doesn't mean you should. This is a middle-of-the-card, slower-paced material match. But the story is Briggs just got signed to WWN, and Bad Bones debuted from Germany, so they both left it all out there and set the tone for the show well. Yeah, those were my thoughts on the match. I would definitely say on this card, it wasn't a huge standout match, but it wasn't a letdown either. John, you watched this match, right?
Yeah, and I agree with what Tim said. It would have benefited from a slower pace, just based on how these two guys seem to wrestle. I've never seen Josh Briggs, but I saw Bad Bones. He was in What Culture Pro Wrestling's World Cup thing that they did a couple years ago. Or a couple years? No, that was last year. But yeah, he was in that. What Culture Pro Wrestling, now Defiant Wrestling. The next match was John Davis defeating Jarek 120. What I noticed about Jarek 120 was his entrance is really cool. I really like the mask that he wears.
Yeah, Jarek's gimmick is that he is a magician. Yeah. That's why Candy Cartwright comes out with him like the magician's, what do they call that? The assistant, whatever. Jarek, John Davis hasn't been to Evolve since he wrestled Fit Finley a long time ago, I think. He's been in FIP. Where you said Jarek, you like his entrance in the mask. I think he looks like Chris Hero before Chris Hero started gaining weight. And Davis kind of reminds me of Jaka. Davis was just... He wore a shirt that said Established Dominance, and that's exactly what he did. He whooped Jarek. He threw him around. He ended the match in what is called the Siberian Bear Crusher, which is a power bomb, then a German, and then a lariat. I mean, there was one point where he just threw Jarek into the ropes, like back first, and it was just disgusting. Everything Jarek tried to do, John Davis just put him down. I was feeling bad for Jarek at one point, which is hard because Jarek is a great heel. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that match. The next match was the Skulk, which is AR Fox's stable, facing each other. Adrian Alanis and Liam Gray versus Leon Ruff and Tommy Maserati. My thoughts were I can see AR Fox's influence. Ruff working the ropes like his name is Phoenix. Alanis with a huge lariat on Maserati. Gray and Alanis with unicorn stomp on Maserati. Alanis is the power guy of the group. You could tell Alanis misses a senton and Maserati hits Ruff with his tag after some apron shenanigans. Ruff hits a backflip DDT on Alanis for a 2 count. Match ends with Alanis hitting an inverted DVD gutbuster and Gray hitting a splash on Ruff for the win. This was a very fun match. Maserati and Ruff have great chemistry. Alanis doesn't seem to fit the group as he's larger, of different color, and has a different wrestling style, but that's what makes him stand out. So I liked it. John, did you get to see this match?
I got to see the start of this match. They all seem like pretty cool guys. I didn't really understand what was going on with them facing each other, but that's fine. I feel like it may have just been some like team building exercise type shit from AR Fox. But the next match I did get to see because I love DJZ.
Well, then take the helm.
So DJZ lost to AR Fox, which was upsetting. But the match itself was very fast-paced, very cool. AR Fox is amazing. I think, is he on Lucha Underground, AR Fox?
He was for a couple seasons as Dante Fox, but I have a feeling he's not on this season.
Yeah. I saw him as Dante Fox. I watched I watched the season finale of season 3, and he was on there, so that's how I knew him.
3 Stages of Hell match.
Yeah.
I honestly think that it's because they mentioned, the commentary team mentioned during this match that he's like running the Evolve training camp, so maybe that's why he decided not to be in Lucha Underground. Yeah, this match was freaking awesome. Fox stopped an Ace Crusher and like did like a flipping leg drop. Z went off the apron and Huracan Ron Fox on the outside. Fox went coast to coast, knocking Z to the outside. Huge guillotine leg drop from Fox off the top rope. DJZ ended up moonsaulting off the apron to dodge an AR Fox smash. Z had a reverse DDT off the top, then an inside-out DDT of sorts for a 2 count. The spinning powerbomb gave Fox a 2 count. 2 Ace Crushers to Z into a Dragon Gate Sleeper, but Z gets to the rope. Code Breaker, then Fox caught on ropes. Z hits a moonsault to Fox's draping body for a 2 count. Z on top, but gets distracted, and Fox hits the springboard Spanish Fly for 2. Fox with a 460, but knees up by Z, 2 count. Z misses a corkscrew moonsault, which ultimately leads to Fox winning with the Fox catcher. I wrote down, holy shit, these guys need to be on 205 Live. Great action for every wild spot Fox went for. Z matched. Really good stuff. As good as this card is, or was, I believe the next match was the show stealer. You had the Daredevil, the face of Evolve, Darby Allin, the ultimate, I wouldn't call him ultimate underdog because that's Daniel Bryan, but my God, is he an underdog, against the massive ring general Walter of Ring Kampf. John, did you get the chance to see this? Then you need to go out of your way and watch this match.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I didn't get to see it, but I'm gonna go out of my way to watch every match that I can see Walter in, because the little bit that I've seen of him, I'm a huge fan.
Oh man, you got to see his matches with Keith Lee and PWG. Anyway, I expected Darby Allin to die, but he actually won with a roll-up. There was awesome storytelling throughout the match. Allin reminds me of a more agile New Age Mick Foley, and Walter is just an imposing foreign beast. Allin is the ultimate punishment taker, but never quits. I loved it. There was a bunch of coffin drops. There was so many chops. I mean, you want to talk about Suplex City, bitch? When you watch a Walter match, it is Chop City, bitch. Yeah. Chop City. And when you try to grab those ropes, he chops your arms down and either puts you in a choke or German suplexes your ass. Walter is not to be messed with. Allin just, he has this very quick, agile. He incorporates a lot of ninja rolls. He hits the ropes, but he hits like the bottom and the middle rope a lot. He just is very unique, and his in-ring style does not really coincide with the way he looks because he paints half of his face dead. He wears like leggings and like cut off shorts. He looks like a punk rocker, and he, from a punk rocker, like, or a rock guy, you know, you think of like Edge, or you think of Aleister Black or Brody King on the indie scene right now, who are just like, you know, striking and like, you know, really want to be kind of guys. But the kind of stuff comes from Allen's in-ring persona, and I really thought it was cool. Walter locked in the Gojira clutch. He grapevined it, or he tried to grapevine it on the ground, but Allen flipped over, put all his weight on Walter's arms, and got the 1, 2, 3. And I just thought it was fantastic. The next match here, we got Mike Verna versus Brian Idol, which came after our little intermission. My thoughts here was Verna should never go to the top rope. He almost botched. He didn't look comfortable up there. Idol looks cool and is athletic, but he needs to really lay in his strikes. Every time he went to strike Verna, it looked like crap. Really weak looking. Verna was cheered throughout the match as he was a hometown type guy. I mean, he's obviously an indie wrestler, but this area, which where they were wrestling in, which was like New York City or something like that, they knew him very well. The match ended when Verna missed a swanton bomb off the top, and Idol hit a swinging inverted DDT. Yeah, like I said, there was much to be desired from this match. But it's okay, because the next match was awesome. Catch Point, consisting of Doom Patrol, a.k.a. Jaka, and Big Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson, and the hired gun Dominic Guarini, faced off against Anthony Henry, former Catch Point leader Tracy Williams, and former Catch Point member and the longest Evolve champion Timothy Thatcher. Did you get to see any of this, John? John says no. Well, I guess you guys are going to have to listen to me talk. The match ended when Thatcher put Jaka to sleep and sets up for Henry to come off with a stomp, but Henry misses and hit Thatcher. Jaka throws a distracted Anthony Henry into an enziguri from Dickinson, and Jaka rolls Henry up for the win. Thatcher attacks Henry after and leaves. Henry is pissed. This was a wild match, a lot of different kinds of wrestling, and the right team won. Stokely Hathaway has his guys working as a full team, and this makeshift team of Henry, Williams, and Thatcher did not... they put on a great showing, but we got to see how disjointed they were as Henry stomped Thatcher's back, which led into their match at 107. The next match, we got the WWN Championship being defended by Austin Theory with Priscilla Kelly against the bad boy Joey Janela and his girl Penelope Ford. This match was signed because Priscilla Kelly gets involved in many of Theory's matches, and she got suspended. When they tried to suspend her again, Austin Theory pulled the CM Punk card and said he was going to walk out with the belt. So the WWN officials decided, who can we bring in who can nullify Priscilla Kelly. And bad boy Joey Janela and his girl Penelope Ford were the couple to bring in. Austin Theory reminds me a lot of AJ Styles, except he has more personality at his age than AJ did. There was, after a huge TKO off the top rope, Janela kicked out. Theory went to hit Janela with the belt off the top rope, but Penelope Ford took it away, causing a distraction. Janela hits like a shuriken uppercut, and then hits an avalanche brainbuster to become the new WWN champ. The match was okay. Lots of action as we have seen over the entire night. I like Janela's look and charisma. It'll be fun to see how this plays out. The last match was the Evolve Championship being defended by the King of Bros, Deep Waters, Matt Riddle, against the King of Swerve, the guy that Evolve passed on years ago, Shane Strickland. Swerve's house. But not here. This ain't Guilt Nightclub in Orlando. This is Evolve, baby. So, this match was brutal. In Evolve Championship matches, or maybe just Riddle matches, there's no rope breaks. I wrote down pretty much everything that happened, so I'm just going to read this off. Strickland attacks Riddle while he's still slapping hands with the crowd, both in their entrance gear. Riddle gets thrown into the ring post and his jacket finally comes off. Strickland chokes and drags Riddle with the jacket. Strickland sits on the apron happy with himself. Strickland is picked up into a Samoan drop position, but he falls off the back and pushes Riddle into the post again. In the ring, and the bell rings. Strickland with a German, then a leaping back heel kick to a kneeling Riddle. Big boot to Riddle lying in the corner. Chops by Riddle. Up kick, blocked by Strickland. Saito suplex gives Strickland a 2 count. Forearms to a grounded Riddle. 2 count. Strickland turns Riddle over and works the left arm. Riddle powers out. Knee strike, powerbomb, knee strike, 2 count for Riddle. Strickland in the corner takes 3 big forearms from each corner from Riddle. An exploder suplex and then a senton by Riddle. 2 gut wrench slams. The third is blocked and Strickland gets kneed and German for a 2 count. Riddle looks for the bro mission but settles for a choke. Riddle stomps Strickland's back through the ropes as Strickland tries to escape. Riddle pulls Strickland up and drops an elbow on his chest, but Strickland pulls him up for a power slam on the apron. He throws Riddle in and a big swerve stomp for a 2 count. Strickland back to the arm, but Riddle turns him over and stands snapmare from Riddle, looking for bro mission again, and lays in the elbows. Strickland flips over and German, and Riddle accidentally hits Brandon Tolley, the ref, with a running knee. Riddle is obviously pissed off. He did not want to hit the referee with a knee. He big slaps. Riddle gets taken down and both roll outside. Strickland sits on the apron and he's taking kicks from Riddle, who does not wear shoes. Strickland drops down and the battle ensues. They fight on the stage and the curtain comes down and Strickland is met by hate by the Skulk, John Davis, and Tracy Williams. They all carry him back to the ring. We get a kind of like a lumberjack feel, as it is said on commentary that Matt Riddle is not very liked in the locker room, and neither is Strickland. Riddle and Strickland are surrounded by the locker room. Strickland's up first and decides to instead to attack Matt Riddle. He jumps to the top rope and does a front flip senton onto the locker room. Riddle pulls him up by his hair. Bro mission. Officials try to stop Riddle, and he gets off as there is no ref to stop it. A ref checks on Tully, and Riddle is left in the ring as Strickland is taken to the back by the locker room. This match went to a no contest. Bro grabs the mic and says that that's not the finish we wanted, but he chokes Shane out. He apologizes to Brandon Tully and gives fans the thanks for making it a great show. This was an awesome battle between two of the best indie wrestlers right now. I like the lumberjack element. Even though there was wasn't a definitive winner, that's okay because another match between these two is a must-see. I gave this show an 8 out of 10 only because the first half opener being a bit odd and the second half opener just being flat. I recommend both main events. The 6-man match, DJZ versus AR Fox, and All In versus Walter is must-see. John, I am parched. You take over for 107.
So, Evolve 107 starts with... Okay. Yeah, Evolve 107 starts off with Josh Briggs versus Dominic Guarini. Stokely Hathaway wants Briggs in catch point as he was on commentary the night before for Bad Bones versus Briggs. Briggs comes out with a big boot, 1 count, forearms and chops to send Guarini to the corner, whip to the other corner, and a swinging side slam, 2 count. Guarini goes to the corner, Briggs rushes with a boot, is caught, and Guarini turns Briggs around for a German into the corner. Running double knees to Briggs' chest as Briggs stands in the corner. Knee to the midsection into a butterfly suplex. Float over pin from Guarini for a 2 count. Guarini maintains control, turns the big man over, and applies a guillotine choke. Briggs getting to his feet and elbows Guarini's midsection to create separation. Briggs hits the ropes, Guarini follows. Briggs in the middle of the ring, and Guarini jumps up and brings the big man down for a triangle choke type submission. Briggs gets to his feet and looks for a one-arm slam, but Guarini jumps off and is met with a boot to the gut. Briggs whips Guarini into the corner and follows, but Guarini leapfrogs up, gets on Briggs' back, and applies a choke. Briggs is starting to fade, but hits a backpack senton to break the chokehold. Guarini to his feet first. Big back elbow from Briggs sends Guarini to the ground. Guarini up and down with another back elbow. Guarini up and Briggs rushes with a clothesline. Guarini dodges. Briggs hits the ropes and soars through the air with a flying shoulder tackle, sending Guarini to the mat. Briggs with a big running back elbow to Guarini in the corner. Briggs screams, "I don't like you," hits the ropes and boots the side of Guarini's face off. Briggs brings Guarini out and does a backdrop into a 1-knee gutbuster to Guarini, 2 count, Guarini on the apron. Briggs goes for a chokeslam from inside the ring to the apron, but Guarini pulls Briggs' arm over the rope and lands on his feet outside. Guarini springboards through the middle rope and applies a guillotine choke. Guarini slaps Briggs' arm and is looking for the Kimura lock. Locks it in, but Briggs throws Guarini off and elbows his face. Both men trade forearms. Guarini takes over with overhand clubs. Then Briggs takes over with forearms. Briggs takes a moment and screams and is met with a jumping knee. Guarini hits the ropes, jumps, and locks the guillotine choke in again. Briggs powers up and hits a chokeslam into a double knee backbreaker called the M5. Josh Briggs gets the 3 count. Josh's win streak in Evolve is 4 for 4. After the match, Stokely checks on Guarini and gets the mic. He says "wow" to Briggs and praises his performance. Says Briggs has everything except marketability. He can make Josh a star and hands him a contract at Catchpoint. Stokely wants him to sign now, but Briggs takes it, pats Stokely on the chest, and leaves. Stokely looks happy.
My thoughts on this match was it was a much better opener from the night before, as Briggs and Guarini looked different and wrestled different from each other. This was well paced as Guarini adds the speed. Briggs looks like a thinner, taller version of Hanson. He could be a third member of War Raiders. I believe I already said that today. I love Guarini's jiu-jitsu-based wrestling. This is a really good match. The next match, we got Adrian Alanis from the Skulk with the Skulk against someone we don't know yet. So the Skulk come out and a fire alarm goes off and everyone doesn't know what to do at first until the crowd chants burn it down. Major confusion, but the Skulk decide to turn the situation into their party as per usual. They sing The Roof is on Fire. The fire alarm stops and Fox runs around the ring as Ruff and Liam Gray start breakdancing. They're so excited that the alarm has stopped. Bishop King comes out and says he's Atlantis' opponent and he pulled the fire alarm. Strong lockup and Atlantis had King in the corner, but ref breaks it. King pushes Atlantis, then hits the ropes. Shoulder tackle doesn't move Atlantis. Atlantis does same and King doesn't move. Both hit the ropes for shoulder tackles and King goes down. King punches Atlantis, so Atlantis throws King into a corner. Yada, 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 yada. Atlantis wins with a roll-up. Atlantis gets his first singles win. King played a great cagey heel, similar to Christian. It was a very fun match. I was glad to see Atlantis win. The next match was a grudge match. Jarek 120 with Candy Cartwright against Darby Allin. Jarek, ever since coming to Evolve, has wanted to be the face of Evolve and has targeted Darby Allin. So, this match, aside from one springboard moonsault spot that made no sense, this match was really fun. Allin always wrestles with a sense of urgency, and Jarek has been targeting him for months. Sorry, not this time, Jarek. I thought Jarek and Allin wrestle a style that befits their size and character. Really good stuff. The match ended when Allin sat up from a tree of woe and hit 2 coffin drops, which is basically a trust fall. But he throws his hands up on his chest like he's dead. The next match was just amazing. You need to go out and watch it however you can get it. I don't care if you do it legally or illegally. Anthony Henry versus Timothy Thatcher. This match is a direct result from Thatcher attacking Henry after their match the night before, when Henry accidentally stomped Thatcher, and cost their team the win. Thatcher wrestles a very ground and pound, very technical, very suplexy type of style. His strikes, he lays them in, man. They're nasty. Anthony Henry, on the other hand, is like a regular junior heavyweight, but in this match, he actually adapted to Thatcher. Early on, he targeted Thatcher's left leg, which ended up being Thatcher's Achilles heel. The match ended when Henry hit the double stomp. He went for a cover, only got 2, and he turned it into another ankle lock. We saw a few ankle locks from Henry. Thatcher almost at the rope, but Henry pulls him back, grapevines the leg, kicks the leg while applying the ankle lock, and Thatcher tapped. After the match, Walter checks on Thatcher. Thatcher is pissed. Henry stands and walks to Walter, telling him he won fair when Thatcher tapped. Henry looks for a handshake from a sitting Thatcher, but Walter boots Henry down with force. This makes Thatcher smile, and Walter helps Thatcher to the back. Crowd claps for Henry. Bloody hell, this was insane. Great clash of styles. Thatcher is brutal, nasty dude, and he sells it perfectly. I like how Henry switched his style a bit to match Thatcher. Great stuff by both men. I also like how Ring Conf are going from respectable, hard-hitting badasses to a more heelish type of tag team. I can't recommend this enough. If you watch it, you'll understand why. John, take over for me.
So after that was Anthony Henry versus Timothy Thatcher.
Yes.
So after this one, we get Joey Janela and Penelope Ford coming in. He reminds Theory that he beat him for the WWE Championship last night, and he says he wants in the match. Austin calls him an indie piece of trash, and Joey says he's going to take the title back to Asbury Park. He's in the match, which makes this match a triple threat for the FIP World Heavyweight Championship. Austin Theory versus DJZ versus Joey Janela. Theory takes Janela down and pounds on him. They fight to the floor. DJ with the Tope Con Giro. Back inside with Austin. Jabs. A hot shot. A neck breaker. The air horns go off. And he continues punching the champion in the corner. Theory puts Zima on the floor. Joey's back in with corner lariats and stomps. But his running boot is evaded. And DJ trips him up for a plancha. And a Cadabra that are good for 2. Okay. So that ended up with Austin Theory winning by pinfall to retain the FIP World Heavyweight Championship. The next match was Jaka versus Bad Bones versus John Davis versus Saivi Al-Saba. Looks like it was a big, hard-hitting fatal 4-way match, which ended up with Saivi Al-Saba winning by pinfall with a corkscrew blockbuster on Jaka. Next match was a catch point rules match, which was Chris Dickinson versus Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. Hot Sauce immediately takes the foul for punching Dickinson in the face, and a second one and a third. He's out of rope breaks, but he's still punching. Referee Brandon Tolley has to call it. So Chris Dickinson wins by disqualification. Williams gets his hands on Stokely after the match, but Chris makes the save and German suplexes him on his dome. Mounted punches and chest kicks. Tracy fires up and German suplexes him in return. Big Lariat takes his head off and Hot Sauce goes back over to Hathaway. This time, Dom makes the save, but Williams is ready with the German suplex and Lariat. So this was really cool, and I love it when good character and story-driven reasons for a match happen like that. And Hot Sauce beating the crap out of Dickinson to get to Stokely is a very good example of such a reason. The post-match angle also worked really well, as Briggs and Williams as our allies is an interesting thought. The main event of Evolve 107 was A.R. Fox versus Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle defending the Evolve World Championship. So, in the filling out process, Riddle gets a takedown on Fox, but Fox soon gets it to a stalemate. Back at it, there was a judo throw with a bunch of transitions, an ankle lock, and A.R. Fox seeking refuge in the loving arms of his skulk on the floor. Back in, ducking and dodging, Fox gets a drop kick off and celebrates prematurely. So, A.R. goes for the pinfall, but gets kicked to the apron, where Matt Riddle draws him up to the turnbuckles before getting shoved down and hung up from an outside-in blockbuster. Armbar of his own applied, but Riddle won't break his grip and reverses to the powerbomb. To the apron, big knee strike. Fisherman Buster from Matt Riddle into all of the skulk, which was amazing. Another one back into the ring, but A.R. Fox kicks out. Charging forearms ensue. The overhead exploder suplex, high jump senton, only a 1 fall. Or only a 1 count. Then a bunch of rolling lifts. Then another near fall. Fox with some Matrix evasion type stuff. Enziguri captures Brainbuster. Another near fall. Just near fall after near fall after near fall in the main event. But Eventually, Matt Riddle was able to win by referee stoppage with repeated knees and elbows to the head to retain his Evolve World Championship. Now, as many people should know, there was another match that happened at Evolve 107 that we didn't get to see. Yeah. And that match was Adam Cole defending the NXT North American Championship against Big Daddy Volter. Now, I don't know why they decided to not broadcast that. It was kind of shitty in my eyes.
Well, I think that it's either going to air on NXT or they're going to wait to put it on their DVD release to maybe increase their sales. From what I watched of Evolve this weekend, I definitely have to watch more of it. We're going to get into the WWE UK tournament now. And since we have your questions at the end, we are going to give each match and our thoughts on each match. So, night one. We got a nice video package about Royal Albert Hall, narrated by the legendary Johnny Saint. The package chronicles Bate and Dunn's title wins, shows the 8 men in the tournament in action, and ends with Saint in the ring and closes with the belt. This was a very nice video package. No one in the industry does video packages and production better than WWE. Morrow and Nigel welcome us. Kofi versus Mastiff, Ashton Smith versus Travis Banks, Zach Gibson versus Jack Gallagher, and Flash Morgan Webster versus Jordan Devlin is our tournament to see who faces Dunn on night 2. Gibson versus Gallagher. I thought that Gallagher is an over face enough, and he's the perfect foil to get Gibson's down and dirty heel character over. What did you think, John?
I think that Zach Gibson is a very good heel, a very natural heel. But I agree with what you said about Jack Gallagher. Seeing him work as a face again was really cool. I enjoy his heel work on 205 Live, but I miss having him as a super over face.
I also liked how the crowd booed the heel and cheered the face.
Yeah.
It goes so far. It goes so far for the show.
Right.
The next match, we got a hoss fight between Joe Coffey, the Iron King from Scotland, against the big super heavyweight Dave Mastiff. Dave Mastiff kind of looks like if you took Gimli from the Lord of the Rings trilogy and put him, meshed him with like, I don't know, like maybe Vader or something like that. This match was awesome. Very, very hard hitting. Kofi hit a discus lariat for the win. I was really into it because it had a very different feel from the first match where the submission Shankly Gates beat Jack Gallagher. How'd you feel about this match, bud?
Well, this is my first time seeing Dave Mastiff and my second time seeing Joe Coffey. I've seen Joe Coffey in some Defiant wrestling shows because I like what they do over there. Like I said before, formerly What Culture Pro Wrestling, so I've been following them for a couple years. Dave Mastiff is gigantic. I kind of didn't see the win from Joe Coffey coming because I would have liked.
Me either.
Yeah, me either. I would have liked to see Dave Mastiff go all the way and seen what he could do against Pete Dunne.
Yeah, and I think eventually with NXT UK kicking off, we may see that down the line. The next match was Flash Morgan Webster, the king of the mods, which Nigel explains what a mod is. It's like a modern day British music scene. It started with the Beatles and the Who and such, and later on the Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that. We get a video package that shows how charismatic Webster is in and out of the ring and says he needs it. Devlin says he's returned because he was disappointed last year. Instead of getting down on himself, he has beaten everyone who's come in front of him since then. I thought this match was great because it was like a wonderful junior heavyweight type of match. It ended when Devlin missed a moonsault and Flash Morgan Webster hit the Eaton rifle. Devlin hit an avalanche Spanish fly for 2, and it was just insane that Flash Morgan Webster kicked out. This was a nice change of pace, like I said, from the first 2 matches, and it made sense to advance a face Webster to go against the heel Gibson in the semifinal.
Yeah, so Flash Morgan Webster is basically if Austin Powers was a professional wrestler, and I love everything about him. The Mod Father, they call him. And I find it funny how universally hated Jordan Devlin is. It started at last year's UK tournament when the crowd there famously chanted at him, "You're just a shit Finn Balor."
Yeah, but he's not hated and over the top. He is known as the import killer. Every wrestler who comes to that promotion to try and make a name for themselves, even though they're big outside, Jordan whoops their ass. Oh. And WWE wants to portray him as a heel. I think that's because he has really good heel facials, and his head is a little bit too big for his body.
Does that make him a heel?
It makes him odd.
Oh, okay.
So of course, usually with odd characters, they're heel first. Yeah. Then we get the last match of the quarterfinals. Travis Banks versus Ashton Smith. I like this match. I never seen Ashton Smith, but he wrestles like he's already in the WWE. He's like a standard WWE wrestler. Travis Banks has a lot of martial arts background. In the video package before the match, he listed all the things that he's done martial arts wise. I couldn't realize all the things he did. At one point, Mauro Ranallo said he screams so much and he could be a death metal singer, and Nigel said he screams because he has a background in Sudokan karate, where every time you throw a strike, you yell. Banks hit the slice of heaven as Ashton was in the air, and it was simply beautiful. But the Kiwi Crusher, which is a fisherman buster sit out, takes Travis Banks to the semifinals. So far, I really liked how I also liked how Ashton Smith made it this far, because it shows that WWE is willing to put lesser-known guys on a larger stage, and it's showcasing not just well-known guys and trying to expose and make stars of all UK talent. How'd you feel about this match, Sean?
Over the course of these 2 shows, Travis Banks became one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. And I've seen him before, but I've never watched him in depth before.
And let me tell you, I've watched some of his matches, but that is the production value and the booking in WWE, mainly NXT. I say the same thing. Like Travis Banks, they booked him like a really, really good babyface. I really got a lot of Daniel Bryan feeling from him, especially from a later match in the tournament. But yeah, I've seen him before, but didn't really care too much. Mm-hmm. Like I knew he was good, but once this tournament happened, it was like, wow, man. And I don't know if it was the production and all that, or if these wrestlers really took it to the next level. The next match was a triple threat between Tony Storm, Killer Kelly from Portugal. Tony is from the Gold Coast, Australia, and Isla Dawn from, I believe, Scotland. And the winner would go on the next night to face Shayna Baszler for the NXT title. What did you think about this match?
So I was very happy to see Toni Storm again. She was one of my favorites in the Mae Young Classic, and I knew that she had signed, but she wasn't around, and I was wondering why. But now, obviously, it seems that she's going to be part of the women's division in NXT UK.
I liked how Tony, all three of them had different aesthetics. Tony was a rocker, Kelly was more MMA looking, and Isla was a modern day witch. I liked how Tony was nullified a lot of the match, and Isla and the lesser known Isla and Killer Kelly got a lot of screen time. Tony won with the Storm Zero on Isla Dawn for the win. It was quick but action packed. I was very impressed by Isla Dawn and Killer Kelly. Then we got Triple H and Johnny Saint coming out, and they announced officially the NXT UK branch. Wonderful. We get into the first match of the semifinals. Flash Morgan Webster from Wales against Zach Gibson from Liverpool. How'd you feel about this, John?
So I was a little sad to not see Flash Morgan Webster go on, but I kind of figured that there wasn't much of a chance he had against Zach Gibson. But I loved the match. Every match on this show was good to great. This was the second to last match of the night. The last match was Travis Banks and Joe Coffey.
Let me say something here. This match ended. Webster was going for the 3 suicide dives, but on the second one, Gibson caught him and hit the swinging suplex, also known as the Helter Skelter, on the rampway. Webster slid in to the ring to beat the 10 count, but he slid right into the Shankly gates. Gibson's going to the finals. I love how simple but grueling the submission looks. Webster may be out of the tournament, but he has a bright future. Thank God he has cool sunglasses.
Yeah, right. No, I was actually wrong. This wasn't the second to last match of the night. This was the second to last semi-final match. So we have Travis Banks versus Joe Coffey. Travis Banks gets the win, and the finals are set as Travis Banks versus Zach Gibson. What I thought about this match was that Travis Banks and Joe Coffey had really good chemistry. I've seen them go at it against each other in Defiant Wrestling, so I knew that they were good together. And I believe that they've been rivals in World Culture Pro Wrestling and Defiant Wrestling for a while now.
Yeah, this match was grueling. They had great psychology and selling by both. After the match, Kofi attacks and hits the discus lariat, and he threw Travis shoulder first into the ring post, which will come into play later. Kofi's attack reminds me of Dunn's antics last year. It was just a fantastic match. All these matches were really good. After this match, before we get to the finals of the UK Championship Tournament, we are treated truly treated.
Yes.
With British strong style, consisting of Mustache Mountain and Pete Dunne, the UK champion, against Undisputed Era, the North American champion Adam Cole, and the NXT tag team title holders Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. This match had the crowd going so hot. It was fast. It was action-packed. Dunne, every time he got in there with Strong, was just beating the shit out of him. Yeah. Obviously, because Dunne was betrayed by Strong in the Dusty Classic Finals in New Orleans. I wrote a lot about this match. Sometimes I write like I'm giving a play-by-play. But anyway, Jesus Christ. I need to see more of this. The match ended when Trent Seven hit the 7-star lariat, a Snapdragon and lariat combo. Bate pins Kyle for the win. This is just insane, and I need more. This is a match of the year contender for me. How do you feel, John?
I feel exactly the same way you feel. It is for sure a match of the year contender. It seemed like one of those matches that you put on to get the crowd back into the show, but in a place where it wasn't even really needed. So to me, it was just a nice treat that we got. 6-man tags often tend to go on a little too long in WWE, but this one was very well paced and very well put together and very concise. Now, moving on from this, we get to the finals.
Before the finals, Shawn Michaels comes out.
Oh, yeah, for no reason.
The Crown sang his song, and he said he's never been scared to follow anything in his life, but after that 6-man tag, he definitely is. He said the 91 Rockers wrestled in Royal Albert Hall, and he's excited to play a small part in this. One more match chance, and Shawn says they have to stop. For years, the UK has supported WWE, and now WWE is now supporting the UK. Now he says, let's get ready for the finals. The Ultimate Heel, Zach Gibson, versus New Zealand's own Travis Banks. Now, John, you were jumping the gun earlier, so I'll give it to you.
Yeah. This was a match that I did not at all care who won, because I knew that whoever won the match against Pete Dunne was going to be amazing. But Zach Gibson picked up the win. Now, Travis Banks picking up the win would have been more predictable, so I'm happy to see them give the tournament to somebody who nobody saw winning the tournament.
I'd say based on name value it would be predictable, but now that Pete Dunne has kind of transitioned into a face, right, it's more predictable to have the heel win. As for the match, it was so good. Travis came with his shoulder taped because of the Kofi attack, and Gibson, his finisher, the Shankly Gates, he works on that shoulder and he gets that submission in, and that's how he ended up winning. It was so good. There's no words to describe it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. This tourney was great. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10 or a B+. Gibson goes for a handshake finally, because he's been denying handshakes the whole way. Banks is hesitant, but Gibson walks away from him. Triple H, Michaels, and Saint come down, raise Banks' hand on the ramp, gets to the ring, and shakes hands with Gibson. They pose. People clap in respect, but boo because Zach Gibson's a heel. Great crowd. Gibson goes for the mic, But 3 words in, done, music's hit, and he comes down and puts that UK title right into Gibson's face. Thus concludes the UK tournament night 1. Now, night 2, personally, I watched a few matches. I'm going to throw what I thought about them. It started off with the NXT theme and video package, so I was a little confused because it was different from the first night. This card felt like a special takeover event, like NXT versus NXT UK. The first match was the NXT Tag Title match, Undisputed Era versus Mustache Mountain. This match was amazing. All 4 competitors are great. Everyone in wrestling says Okada has the best dropkick, but they must not really be paying attention to Roderick Strong, because that dude's dropkick is fantastic. As I said, all 4 competitors are great, but the standouts are truly Tyler Bate and Kyle O'Reilly. We got an upset here, and Mustache Mountain became the champions after Seven set up a burning hammer, and Tyler Bate came off the top with a diving knee, and it was a combo. This means more from these 2 teams. It was a great match, but really, do you expect anything less? How'd you feel, John?
I was so freaking happy to see Mustache Mountain pick up the win here, because I love that team. At the same time, I love the Undisputed Era, but if they're going forward with this NXT UK thing, they need to really highlight the UK talent. Now, anybody that follows WWE knows that already the Era has regained the NXT championships in the most recent NXT tapings. And that sucks that WWE loves to spoil their own product so much, because honestly, avoid following WWE on Twitter, avoid following them on Facebook, because all they do is spoil their own events.
Yeah, I hate to promote spoilers and to talk about spoilers, but when WWE does it to itself, whatever. The next match was Killer Kelly versus Charlie Morgan. I thought this was a nice breather match for a stacked show. Charlie Morgan showed a lot of great facial expressions. I also had thoughts of the commentary during this match. Who is better on commentary than Mauro Ranallo? His knowledge of past and present stars, events, and moves, and his passionate outbursts make him number 1 for me. And Nigel McGuinness is a perfect partner for him, because Nigel, not only being almost as knowledgeable as Mauro, but has been in the ring, gives that feel of him knowing more than Mauro. Over 2 days, they both referenced Todd Billington, a.k.a. Dynamite Kid, Billy Robinson, Giant Haystacks, and the UK's arguably greatest star, Big Daddy. This is just great. Morgan won with a nice springboard rolling senton for a 2 count. Morgan's face sells are impressive. Morgan wins with an upset victory via roll up from a suplex reversal. John?
Yeah, I'm happy with these 2 being on the show, because, like we said, NXT UK is going to have their own women's division. So the show did a really good job of highlighting UK talents that we're going to see on NXT UK. Now, I don't know when that's going to start on TV, but I know that the first tapings are going to take place early in July.
We said it all last week.
Yeah, we said it all last week. But yeah, so NXT UK is going to be awesome. And these two lovely ladies are going to be part of why it is awesome, because this match was an absolute banger.
The next match was the number one contender UK title three-way, but Johnny Saint comes out and tells Mark Andrews, Travis Banks, and Flash Morgan Webster that he's adding someone for a fatal four-way, and it is a returning Scottish Supernova Noam Dar. Noam Dar wrestles very clever. This match was fast-paced. It was like a fatal four-way you'd see in PWG maybe, or an indie show, but it was really, really well put together. Noam Dar ended up winning. Joe and Mark Coffey come out and beat up everyone, and Dar walks away. I thought Noam Dar would come back as a face, but apparently since he went to go in and help but decided not to, I guess he's still a heel, and this is where I unfortunately stopped watching. So John is going to give you his thoughts on the rest of the UK tournament very quickly before we get into your questions, because this is the first episode of Armbar Audio. It's a special episode. There will not be this long of episodes going forward, but as we are.
Yeah, we're going a little long here, but we were excited to get this episode out. We're so excited to start this new journey. But like I said, like Tim said, we gotta blast through these last four matches. They were all really good, so I don't even need to say like, oh, this match was good, this match was good. So matches and results. Adam Cole defended the NXT North American Championship successfully against one of my favorites from the UK scene, Wolfgang. Aleister Black and Ricochet put on an incredible tag team match against EC3 and the Velveteen Dream. Ricochet and Velveteen Dream still have the most amazing chemistry. Yeah, and Velveteen Dream actually ended up possibly feigning an injury. We don't know for sure, but he ended up hobbling away from the ring when EC3 was going for an attack. So Ricochet and Aleister Black pretty much just put the boots to EC3 and took him out. Shayna Baszler defeated Toni Storm to retain the NXT Women's Championship. Not surprisingly, but surprisingly, it was an incredibly even match, and Nigel McGuinness even said that Toni Storm and Shayna Baszler had fought in the past, and that Toni Storm actually owns 2 pinfall victories over Shayna Baszler.
I believe that happened in Stardom, and the night before, Morrow mentioned that Toni Storm is the only ever Gaijin female to win a tournament in Japan.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I knew that, but I had forgotten about it. And then in the main event, Zach Gibson fell victim to the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne as he successfully retained the WWE UK title. Now, night 2 of the UK tournament, sort of the takeover-ish event, was just absolutely amazing. I loved every minute of it, and I am so freaking excited for NXT UK. But it is time.
No.
What?
I have a question for you.
Oh, you have a question for me?
What was your match of the night?
Tim just asked me what my match of the night for UK Tournament Part 2 was. I'm going to have to give it to Aleister Black and Ricochet versus EC3 and Velveteen Dream.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to watch the rest of that. So, as you know, we usually end with the big question, but this week we went online to get your questions. Our first question comes from Callie Munch on Facebook, and she asks, who is your favorite female wrestler of all time? John, who is yours?
So my favorite female wrestler of all time is probably Lita from the time I grew up, when I got into WWE, my favorite thing to watch was Team Extreme, the Hardy Boys and Lita. So I'd have to say Lita. In today's wrestling, it's probably a tie between Bayley and Becky Lynch.
Nice. My favorite female wrestler of all time is Lisa Marie Varon, a.k.a. better known in WWE as Victoria and in TNA as Tara. I loved The Widow's Peak. I loved her crazy character. I loved how she really made an, no pun intended, impact in TNA, and she is just gorgeous. I thought she was a wrestler in WWE when WWE lacked female wrestlers. Right. Now you're saying today's female wrestlers? Mm-hmm. My favorites are, there's so many. I could say Ember Moon, Nikki Cross, Toni Storm, Tennille Dashwood, and they're all viable. I really wouldn't know how to answer that question. Our second question comes from our good friend and who made our logo, Sid, the Nerdy Mark. He asked, who, in your opinion, are some underrated talents outside of the WWE? Any promotion is fair game. My first reaction was Trent, because he was a dude buster in WWE. He was the first to leave WWE. Everyone credits Callahan and Juice, but Trent was. He made a name for himself on the indie scene and Evolve and PWG. He eventually went to New Japan and formed Roppongi Vice with Rocky Romero. He looked to be going either into a singles junior heavyweight or a middleweight area and got injured in New Japan, so I can't wait to see him come back. I believe Hangman Adam Page is severely underrated. He's the most underrated of the major faces of the Bullet Club. The guy can do anything. I think AR Fox and DJ Z are super underrated. I don't know why AR Fox or DJ Z hasn't been contacted to do 205 Live. I know that AR Fox smokes a lot of weed, but can you really, in today's day and age where weed is becoming more legalized, can you really even have that on your policy, WWE? I also think that in the UK tournament's own, Jordan Devlin is underrated. The stuff he has done in over-the-top wrestling is absolutely fantastic. He's the import killer. He's come a long way. And, those are my choices.
Yeah, well, right off the top of my head, I came up with 3. Now, we had one of the same answers, where I also thought of Hangman Page. Yeah, Hangman Page is severely underrated. Like you said, he can do it all. Now, the other 2 that I came up with one from Ring of Honor and one from New Japan. I just listed 3 off the top of my head. I just quickly wrote them down. Now, Ring of Honor, I believe that the Briscoe brothers do not get an ounce of the love that they deserve as a tag team.
I think that's because they've been in the same place for too long. They were very highly regarded, but they have been in ROH for too long, and for some reason have not gotten WWE contracts, or they did and decided not to, and now they're kind of in that weird position that the Motor City Machine Guns find themselves.
Right. And the other one that I came up with from New Japan was actually the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii.
I don't know if he's underrated, but he should definitely hold a world title.
Yeah.
In that regard, he's definitely underrated.
Right. Because I love Ishii. Now, what was our third question there, Tim?
Our third question comes from at Good Pro Wrestling on Instagram. He asks, who is the best champion in current wrestling? John, you answer first.
Oh, and by that you mean give the correct answer of Kenny Omega?
As much as I love Kenny Omega, I own 2 of his shirts, and I have been rallying for him to win the IWGP Championship. I don't think he's the best because he's only held it since Dominion. I would say the best champion in wrestling right now, I would have to look at their title reign and their list of opponents.
Don't say it.
I would have said Okada, but Kenny Omega beat him. I would have to go with the phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
I was really worried that you were about to say Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar would be if he had more title defenses.
Right.
I think AJ Styles. Maybe it definitely would have been Okada, but Okada lost.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with AJ Styles, but I also think that Austin Aries going back to Impact and becoming champion is a really good move, and I love to see him in that position.
Yeah, going back to Impact has worked wonders for Austin Aries. And I think in the current champion conversation, a big claim could be made for one Y2J Chris Jericho.
Well, he only won once, and we don't know when he's going to defend it again.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, as a wrestler as well.
Well, I'm going to go with, instead of singles competitors, who are the best current champs? The Young Bucks only just won the heavyweight titles, but they're 7-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champions. They're former PWG champions many times. They've held so many belts. They work as a unit. They work as a one-man unit. They're 2 guys. They're brothers. I mean, you could say a lot of people, but I'm going to say AJ just because he's held the WWE heavyweight title for a while. He's defended it. He is a fighting champion. And he's wrestled a lot of really good talent through the time he's held the belt.
We also could have said Seth Rollins if he hadn't lost to Dolph Ziggler.
I probably would have if he didn't lose. So our 4th question comes from huge follower. I love this dude. At Camilo_Ruiz71 on Instagram asks, do you really think Cena and Nikki will get married, or is it for show? And do you think Nikki can make a comeback to WWE and succeed? Camilo, I have no clue. I know the breakup was fake. The relationship is probably real. Only time will tell. I don't know them personally. Regarding Nikki coming back and succeeding, Nikki can do whatever she wants in WWE. The Bellas are WWE royalty, as showcased on their show, and who they have married and who their mother has married. They're royalty. If Nikki wanted to come back and have a title run, it would happen in a New York minute. So, John, how do you feel about this?
I don't know. I don't feel any particular way. I think stuff like this takes away from wrestling. I hate it. I don't care who is married to who or who's dating who. The whole thing's just to get people to watch that stupid Bella show.
Yeah. I also think he may have had that question because I had that proposal picture.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, we were John Cena and they were Nikki. But thanks, Camilo, for that question. Question number 5 comes from our brothers from Talkin' Suplexes Pod on Instagram. And they ask, do you foresee Braun cashing in at SummerSlam after Brock and Roman battle, or will it drag out? My answer is no. Braun's character should challenge, and the winner the night after SummerSlam. And we don't know. It's it's rumored to be Roman versus Brock, but we still don't know. There's a lot of names being thrown out there, like Lashley and Rollins. But ultimately, I don't see Braun as an ultimate opportunist. It doesn't fit his character. I see him just challenging whoever wins at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and I think that would be really interesting, sort of going the route of John Cena when he had the Money in the Bank, how he decided to cash in, but he did so in a way where he was cashing in at this specific event. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like run out and being somebody with the briefcase and pin him. He was like, I'm going to cash in, and I'm going to take my match, and I'm going to do it at blah, blah, blah. So I think Braun could potentially cash in his briefcase for SummerSlam and overstep Roman or Lashley or whoever else goes in.
Yeah,
like have the match be announced and then have Braun come out and be like, no, I'm cashing in and I'm taking your title shot.
Or instead of taking the title shot, give him a better chance at winning by making it a triple threat.
Right. Because nobody's ever done that. That'd be awesome.
Damn, we're good. Our next question comes from a huge follower and a future guest on our show. It's at Anthony_Abine. I hope I'm saying your last name right. On Instagram, he asks, now that Kenny Omega is king of New Japan Pro Wrestling, who do you see as their next champion? How long will Kenny's reign be? John?
So I could see possibly Cody coming back. Well, not coming back. He's still there. But like when Kenny Omega won the title at Dominion, we saw Cody come out onto the stage.
Wait, do you mean that he's going to win at the Cow Palace at the G1 special? Because Cody versus Kenny is on that show for the title.
Oh. Well, I'm not saying he's going to win there. I'm just saying I could easily see Cody and Kenny having a Okada and Omega style saga of matches.
I like your idea, but that's not my idea. I believe that Kenny's reign will be very long. He worked very hard to get there, and with the new management and Harold May, this company is going into a different direction. It's going to go worldwide. There's going to be more English commentary on their New Japan World, so I don't think Kenny's going to lose the title anytime soon. I do, however, believe his challenger at Wrestle Kingdom, a.k.a. the winner of the G1 Climax, will be the Golden Lover, Kota Ibushi. And I think this will have great storyline in and outside of the ring. They could drag it out for a year, even after Wrestle Kingdom. But Kenny's not losing anytime soon. And if he does lose it, it's not going to be Dakota. Maybe it will be. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny has a long reign and ends up losing it back to Okada.
That's true.
Our next question comes from at HealOrFace on Instagram. They ask, what's your favorite pay-per-view ever, excluding WrestleManias? Since you answered last, I'll take this one. Yeah. I'm going to say probably Royal Rumble 01. Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit had an amazing ladder match, and it sticks out in my mind. The Royal Rumble itself was great. I believe Austin won that year. There was a lot of good stuff in the time between from 1999 to 2001 that I just loved. And everyone shits on the Invasion angle, but the Invasion pay-per-view was actually pretty good itself. It's really hard to answer this question without saying a WrestleMania. So yeah, I'd probably go with Royal Rumble 01, SummerSlam 02, of recent memory: Extreme Rules 2012, SummerSlam 2013, Money in the Bank 2011. Yeah.
So, like you said, this is a hard question to narrow down because there's been so many pay-per-views. And I immediately, before reading the entire question, I immediately said, well, WrestleMania 17. But
Yes.
no WrestleManias.
Yes. Yes. WrestleMania 17 is the pinnacle of sports entertainment and wrestling. Every match on that card was great. Everyone who was matched together was a perfect fit. The storylines were amazing. We just talked about WrestleMania. Sorry, healer face.
However, we also had Stone Cold versus The Rock at 18. So, but anyway, without saying manias, so because it's so hard to narrow down, I decided to go with a nostalgic answer and answer this question by stating that my favorite pay-per-view is the only pay-per-view that I have ever been able to attend in person, which was Armageddon 2007. The main event was JBL versus Chris Jericho, and that match was amazing.
I got to attend SummerSlam 95 or 96, where the main event was Diesel versus Mabel. Isaac Yankem wrestled Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon had a ladder match. I know that Alundra Blaze wrestled Bertha Faye, R.I.P. I was not at the historic Hell in the Cell, the King of the Ring, because I was grounded. But yeah, that happened the 20-year anniversary of that was this week, and coincidentally enough, on the same day, it was the 7-year anniversary of CM Punk's pipe bomb. Just throwing that out there. You ready for the last question, John?
Hit me with that last question, buddy boy.
At time period, like the dot. Dot splitter on Instagram asks, who is the most important but undervalued wrestler in the world? My choice is Kushida. I want you to answer this first, John.
So, most important but undervalued wrestler in the world.
Very confusing question.
Yeah. I'm thinking.
While you think, I'll answer.
Well, the most undervalued wrestler of all time is William Regal, for sure.
And he's super important.
And he's important now. He's the general manager of NXT.
But he's not an active wrestler.
Not an active wrestler. So, with active wrestlers, important but undervalued. Maybe Cena? But he's not really that active right now either.
Now, I see Time Splitter why you would say Kushida, because Kushida is now the ace of the junior division. Right. Liger bestowed that upon him, and even though Hiromu and Will have taken that spotlight, Kushida is the new Liger. I appreciate that from you. My answers, I have a few. I immediately thought of Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre for what they did for Ireland and Scotland. Finn Balor trained Becky Lynch and Jordan Devlin. He was a young guy. I mean, I think he was a teenager. Drew McIntyre, once he left WWE, he put ICW on the map. Before McIntyre got there, the only people who were aware of it was probably Scottish people and some UK. And I would say John Hennigan for putting more United States eyes on Lucha Libre again, because he went down to Mexico. He palled up with Brian Cage and found his wife Taya down there, brought them back for Lucha Underground. I'd say that. I'd say John Cena for granting the most wishes to Make-A-Wish Foundation. I mean, you might think that he's not undervalued, but Smarks undervalue John Cena big time. Another one, and I know that this is going to piss my co-host off, is Brock Lesnar for making the title special and more like a combat sport title, and for bringing legitimacy back to the WWE, as John Laurinaitis stated whenever he brought him back originally around that pay-per-view I mentioned earlier, Extreme Rules 2012. John, have you thought any harder?
Yeah, so now, hearing your answer, I think I kind of see what heel or face means by his question.
No, this is Time Splitter.
Oh, yeah, Time Splitter. So I guess if you're going to talk about an important wrestler that's undervalued, I guess that would mean somebody who is a big part of wrestling right now, but is not well received by the universe. So my answer for that would probably, honestly, and even though I'm not a huge fan, it would probably be Roman Reigns. Because he's
what has
like...
he done of importance?
I mean, like, you could say what has he done of importance, but I'm just thinking in terms of somebody who puts on good matches but is still royally shit on by the internet wrestling fan base.
I understand the undervalued part, but I don't understand the important part.
Maybe not. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I don't know how to answer this question.
What? I think your first answer was perfect. John's answer is William Regal, and it's a perfect answer. Even though he's not an active wrestler, he's probably the most important, other than Paul Levesque. Who,
I was just about to say Triple H. Even if I'm allowed to name not active wrestlers, let's thank Triple H for making wrestling cool again.
It's our show. And not only that, but after he married Stephanie McMahon, everyone hated on him. He even said in his DVD, he went to Undertaker for his advice, and Taker said, there's going to be an asterisk next to everything you do. And he decided to follow his heart anyway, and look at him now. He's a wrestling god, and he might not be the best wrestler ever. He might not be the best heel ever, this or that, whatever. But the guy is the successor to Vince McMahon, and he's doing what we want him to do. Right. But yeah, with that ends the questions. John, you have anything last words for our first episode of Armbar Audio?
All right, well, since this is the first episode, I'm going to do some housekeeping here. Within the last week, I have set up for the new YouTube channel, I have set up a Facebook page, a Twitter. We are going to be on SoundCloud. Through SoundCloud, we will be able to put this podcast on iTunes. We are spreading Armbar Audio further than we were ever able to spread our Name Redacted show.
I like how you said that. Where can they find you on social media, John?
Well, that hasn't changed. I'm still Instagram and Twitter at jkerns91. Tim's names, however, have changed, so pay attention. These are the new handles to find Tim on social media.
On Instagram, I am Farley_Armbar Audio. And on Twitter, I am at Armbar Farley, the A and F capitalized. With that, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is, whether it's morning, noon, or night, you have a great one, and peace and love to all of you. This has been episode 1 of Armbar Audio.